In the 2018 election, the Justice Democrats brought us a number of big names now making news on literally a daily basis, including new representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib. We talked with Ro Khanna a lot. Some big names. So it begs the question, now that we're getting into the 2020 election, who can we expect them to put forward in this next election? And perhaps more importantly, who are they gonna have to take down along the way? And so joining us to help break down the path going forward is the executive director of the Justice Democrats, Alexandra Rojas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on, John.
Very glad to have you here. So I saw that just a couple of days ago, the Justice Democrats announced who their first target in the 2020 election would be. So who is that, and why did you choose this particular incumbent?
Yeah, it's Henry Cuellar out in Texas's 28th congressional district. And for us, despite representing one of the safest Democratic seats in the country, it actually went plus 20 for Hillary Clinton. Representative Cuellar of Texas 28 has been a consistent ally of the Republican Party and Donald Trump. He's voted about almost 70% of the time with them. He's received a rating from the NRA. He's voted with Republicans consistently to ban federal funds for abortion services. He's a corporate Democrat through and through, taking private prison and detention money as well as Koch brothers backed PAC money. And he's voted against Dreamers before. And it sounds like very much like a Texas Republican, but he's not. He's actually a Democrat in the Democratic Party and has been there for several cycles. And so we're looking to recruit a progressive working class grassroots challenger to a Democrat that clearly does not represent our party and is not standing Donald Trump the way that we need to in this crucial moment.
So I want to break down a couple of aspects of him as a candidate, but starting off with the voting with Donald Trump close to 70% of the time, has he presented any sort of reason or excuse for why he has racked up that statistic?
No, I mean, it's actually been interesting in the days of response. We're definitely like trying to keep a lookout, like where's the unity argument, which is a lot of the times that we're seeing like establishment Democrats hail at Alexandria right now, right? They need to rein her in. And I think he put out a statement recently that talked about the diversity of thought. And I know he's put out previous statements when he got challenged last time, because he was actually challenged a few cycles ago. And he talked about, again, that Democrats shouldn't eat their own. But what's funny about this particular person in general, too, is that he's actually back in 2018, not too long ago, fundraised on the GOP or John Carter, who was a far-right Republican birther, against a progressive Democrat veteran who was running out there too. So there's really no justification, and I call on Democratic leadership like Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer to justify why this particular Democrat does not need to be challenged.
Yeah, I think that when you help fundraise for a Republican candidate, you lose the moral high ground on not challenging Democrats in primary elections. So I also want to talk about his sources of funding, because that's obviously a very important qualification for becoming a Justice Democrat. Where does he get his political donations from?
He is the #1 Democrat that takes fossil fuel and corporate money. He's taken private detention center money, and the GEO Group is actually a facility that's located in his district that he takes money from as well. And just across the board, right, we can see that by far he is leading in corporate PAC and lobbyist contribution from a number like Wall Street, from fossil fuel to private prison and private detention. And at a time where we're literally seeing human rights abuses and locking children in cages right at the border, there's no reason why he is not the champion, right, of creating a legal pathway to citizenship, having a Clean Dream Act, and showing the nation of what's happening right now with ICE and their human rights abuses.
So I want to take a bit of a step back, because obviously you're going to launch this once you find the right candidate. You're going to launch a primary challenge against him, but there will be many. So when you're choosing where to target, where to put your resources, is it primarily a pragmatic exercise of figuring out who might be vulnerable, how blue a district is, that sort of thing, or is it primarily ideological, that this person is the exact inverse of a progressive in terms of the Democratic Party, where they get their funding from, things like that?
Yeah, I think it's a blend of all of those things, right? I think we have to be idealistic, and we're challenging incumbent Democrats, right? And so we have to think big about the way that we run campaigns and who we challenge to shift the Overton window, like we've seen on Green New Deal, abolish ICE, and a number of these ideas that we're pushing for that happen in competitive primaries. But I think paramount, like you said, is ideological, and I think that's what makes Justice Democrats so different, is that we do embrace the idea of a litmus test. We have a platform that's calling for solutions as big as the problems that we're facing, like when we talk about climate change and the IPCC report saying that we have only 12 years left. We have to offer solutions like a Green New Deal. When we see our healthcare crisis and 60% of Americans going bankrupt because they can't afford to pay their medical bills, we have to offer expanded and improved Medicare for all. So we're going to continue to keep that at the forefront and paramount to our process. But I think at the same time, we're looking for those people that are, make up the fabric of all parts of our economy and our society, and the candidate and finding real solutions that are going to be a part of this mission-driven team in Congress that's going to legislate a lot of what we're talking about into reality is also really important. So I think there's a layer of district analysis that's been looking at places where we did really well, places where we did not do really well. I think it's looking at the voting records of all of these past incumbent Democrats, and then also just our general theory and approach to primaries, and whether it's in the Democratic for a Democratic seat or a Republican held seat, I think is that no incumbent is beholden to their seat, and that in a healthy and thriving democracy, right, we can have these robust policy discussions and create a vision of what the American people want to see our nation become. And I think that's sort of the place that we see ourselves right now, is this sort of battle within the Democratic Party, and we're trying to help find ourselves again, right? Even before system lost over the past decade thousands of seats up and down the ballot, and so we're trying to bring out the best in Democrats.
Well, Alexandra, thank you so much both for the work you do for the Justice Democrats, also joining us. Hopefully we can have you back on in the near future and talk a little bit more as you identify more targets and start to accrue some awesome candidates.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you very much for watching this clip from the Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.